All right. Shalom, shalom, Sister Deborah, prophetess in the wilderness. And you know what? That's all right with me. Coming again on this devil platform with another message. And I will say this is a lovely evening in which the Most High, a higher has made. And I, Sister Deborah, shall and I will rest. I will rest. I will rest therein. I'm just coming with a little something, something being so. I kind of took a little nap and I woke up and just began to kind of view a couple of videos and it brought me to a level of almost tears because I wanted answers. When Sister Deborah get in a situation like that, she don't see her left and her right. She don't seek what's in front of her or what's in back of her. She's wanting answers from the Most High, a higher, regarding the things that was, that is, and that shall be, and how horrible yesterday really was. And if we think for 1 minute, yesterday was a time period of, oh, it was better, it was great, it was this, it was that. Let me tell you all, the voices of those who had to live still yet reign and cry out today. So when it is said that that which is was in the dark, that which was in the dark, that which was in the dark shall come to the light in the last days. And just to know the truth of the matter of the darkness and how thick the darkness was back then, it helps me to understand why today really is the way that it is today. Now, coming to the light doesn't make today better than yesterday. But what it does, it shines light on the wicked and evil that has been covered up for so, so, so long. And I had to hear, and when I hear men talk about their upbringing and when they were coming up as children, and these men are older than I am, but just to hear their stories, I hurt for them. I really feel and I hurt for them because of the pain that they endure back in the days. And I noticed these men, they're actually seeing how mother stayed in her place and mother kept quiet and mother didn't say anything. Mother knew it, but mother let daddy, grandpa, step brothers, uncles, do the things to us. And she said not a word. And just to think of that, I think about my 6 children. Oh no, Father Yah, I just thank him for allowing me to raise my own children in a way that no one had to, they didn't have to go over grandma's house. They didn't have to go over to the neighbors or daycare centers or auntie house to stay. I raised my own children, and yes, I've worked. I've had business. I homeschooled. I breastfed. I did all of these things. And I look back at these men that are telling their stories, y'all. And then I think about the men today. The reason why these men have that mindset today is truly because of the wickedness and darkness that was in their forefather that came on down their bloodline. It is horrible, horrible to see that you got people living. Now, I'm going to be honest. Every place that I have worked, I've made a lot of money. I have had good dental and benefits. So the places that I've worked always was among the multitude. And yes, I have heard horrible stories. And even sometimes coming home and having to accept that this was at one time the reality of life. So if today is worse than yesterday, just imagine what these young men and these young boys and these young girls and these young women are experiencing. I mean, it is horrible, you guys. So when I see and I hear and I behold them just giving their stories about how grandma never said anything, but she had two black eyes. Grandpa, mama never said anything, and she used to get beaten. Daddy was an alcoholic, and he was on drugs, and he was never home, and he worked, and he did this, and he did that. It's just off the chain to where this is the mindset you see in those who are leading others because their lifestyle wasn't, you guys. I said to the Father, with much within me, wanting to cry and pour out. But the best thing I could say was, Father, how could you have allowed such great horror to come upon these men and these women way back before I was even born? I mean, how could all these things be? So I'm looking at tomorrow and today as worse as the worst, even though it is. So now just looking at yesterday for really what it is, hey, the sorrow, some of the sorrow comes from all that time, how the men have gotten away with so much, you guys. They have gotten away with so much, even to the point where they can't even see how it was a time when a woman wasn't to do anything but to sit in the house and have children and clean while they do everything under the sun, under the ground, around the corner, all kind of places, and bring all of that. Just listen to this, you guys. If the women were at home cleaning, taking care of the children, cleaning the house and cooking, what do who then that leaves what? All the wicked and evil and sin for the men to take on. Then they lie down with this woman and they bring forth children out of their alcoholic system, out of their drug addict system, out of their demonic system. And they bring forth children that later on are monsters because they come from their mindset of who they are. They're a bloodline of alcoholic, drugs that then destroy their sense of thought or how to make righteous choices. So the children are constantly being born. And here we are today, even with men who father has tainted them so bad. They are too wicked to see that it's nobody on this earth have done anything to them, Father Yah. It's nothing, and nobody have done anything to them. It's their forefathers who have rotten their bloodline, has tainted their mindset from within. Do they carry these things and bring it to the blood system? And this is what you see today. That's why today is worse than yesterday. But if you just sit down and listen to the cries of yesterday and you try to measure it with the cries of today, let me tell you, you could see that it was never nothing left to either run forward toward that was righteous, just, because the men had messed it up for so long, you guys. They had messed every family up way back. A lot of them, they tried to justify and clarify, oh, when we got kicked out of the house, it's because grandma and ma and great great grandma put up with so much wickedness. To the women that came back in my day and time, said no more. If I can do bad by myself, let me raise my children. Let me give them what they need. But one thing the mothers didn't know, those spirits, those wicked thoughts that was in the father, that came from his father and his grandfather, still rest in the father. Those ways of alcohol and drugs still rest in the father, to where when he spilled his sperms and brought forth children, it still left all the wicked, the alcohol, the drugs, everything to rest on the children. To where you see today, the men of today, the mindset is so wicked and evil. The forefathers have truly messed it up, just as the father said. He's not going to make it better for us women. He's not going to make it better for the children we raised and we brought up and we brought to our breast, and we sent them off to college. We gave them what they needed. He's not going to let the best of the best come to them, because their fathers messed it up for them long time ago. And as I watched these men talk about how mom kept quiet back in the days, how she stayed in her place. How dare you say that mama stayed in her place? Mama stayed in her place caused all these men to be raping you at the age of 3 and 4 and 5. Mama staying in her place allowed daddy, his father, his brothers, friends, anybody to bring anything upon you. Rape their sons, their daughters, mess them up for life. Because these men, you know, honestly, I'm going to go on and mention it. I had one person that shared with me how far it went back, to the point where this is where they at and they battle with it today. Yes, they're older than I am, but it's just sad that they're still battling. And I'm 62, and they're still battling with it today. Why? Because it always was there. And then they begin to tell me, grandpa, great great grandpa, on mama's side, daddy's side, all of them was doing it. You see, this is what you see in the men today that wants to keep the women in the order and where they were yesterday. So they can't make righteous decisions. They can't have a mind of their own. They can't worship the Father the way they need to, because they in a second captivity to the minds of the men who feel that they only belong in a captivity order as they desire. And I said, I don't know if he's going to do it or not. I really don't. I want a higher to give me some closure. Just give me some type of closure of what, and not, I want to say so bad why. That is not something he owes me. Why? And all you're getting, I say unto him, he say, and all I getting, get understanding. And where I'm at with this, after hearing these men talk about how their uncles and how the sons, the grandsons used to beat up on grandma, and how the mother used to get beaten because daddy went out drinking all night, and how there was so much chaos in their household. When people used to tell me that, I used to hear them and I used to hurt. But what I'm learning today, even at the age of 62, is deeper than you all can imagine. So when you're running around here wanting to be submissive under a man, let me tell you, James Brown said something in three of his songs, which someone brought it to me, and I dissect what he was saying, just like I dissect what Tupac was saying. What I do is I go into music and hear the cry. You see, I go into it and I hear the cry and I dissect it and take it out, you know, and put it in the right category. So with James Brown, when he was talking about this is a man's world, I want men out there to understand this is the world you have messed up from the floor since the beginning. It has always been your world, and it shall always be, even when the point when he destroyed the world. You got to be the great number that he destroyed. You see what I'm saying? You got to be the one that has the most demonic, wicked, and evil. Nothing on this earth can have anything wicked and evil and demonic and on Satan's side than men. I know you all want to paint the picture as if you all that and all that, as you feel that it has placed you in that type of authority. But as I heard, when the things which were created was perfect, it was so perfect to where he said, and he saw that it was good. After that Genesis, when second chapter of Genesis, when you went into the third, when sin hit the earth, let me tell you, therefore there was nothing good. Everything went on. Everything took its course right then and there, to where you can't, they don't even want you to teach Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. They don't want to have anything to do with Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. You know why, y'all? Because that was the perfect will of the Father. That's when everything was perfectly designed and orchestrated from his perfect will. So they don't tamper with it because they hear him saying them, and not him. So a lot of them don't understand this is the order in which you disrespect from the Creator. You can't lead a church, a congregation, a academy, a camp, a group, your family, if you do not understand that men, as James Brown said, this is a man's world. Who else world was it? Satan, who comes down to do what? To deceive the whole world. So if he's coming down to deceive the whole world, who's over? Who is the leader of the world? Me. So therefore, all these years I used to hear people talking about, and it wasn't often, but I used to hear people talking about women's rights and these women who wants to be men. You know what these women was trying to cry out for? What the Father had said in Genesis 1. Let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And when he made man, he made woman with the same spiritual image, with the same breath of life. You see what I'm saying? And man missed it. They look at the bone, the one rib. One rib cannot develop flesh. One rib cannot give you the breath of life. One rib does not and cannot be the image of Yah. You see, you all see how they done messed up? And right now, they are not going to turn to anything righteous. They're turning more and more to the darkness in this midnight hour. And they fight against so hard, as they did in days time past, keeping women under their feet, like unto the serpent under their feet. Remember the heel crushing the serpent? Well, that's what they have portrayed a woman as. And here we are in the year of 2023. So it's been thousands of years. They feel that women don't have a say so, a right. I'm gonna hit you. It hit you where it's gonna hurt. They don't. They need to be submissive. They shouldn't do this. They shouldn't how would they say it? Assert themselves over a man. What happens when you get into glory, which now one of you would enter in, because of the way you took the Father perfect will and created your own based on men that didn't have righteous nor deserve righteous. They took on Satan path from Genesis 3 on. And a lot of them can't see that. They can't see the things that caused David to lust and to commit adultery and cause murder. They don't see who was behind that. And that's how it is today. They don't see nothing that's in front of them nor behind them with wicked and demonic and evil. All they see is their flesh way, which is their flesh feelings, their flesh emotions, their flesh wisdom, their flesh knowledge, and their flesh understanding. They see nothing that's detached to just, righteous, belief, faith, fear of the Most High or higher. This didn't start today, though, you guys. This took on when sin hit. It was like, wee, everything goes. And they can't even look back and realize we stripped women. We took from them everything the Father created them to be in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, 7, 8, and 9. We took everything from them. And because he said they are to rule, he said they are to rule over thee. Now, I even question that because where men are today is beyond what you call ruling in the eyes of Yah. See, they don't understand. You didn't follow. There's two rules. Rule. Did you follow the spiritual rule or did you follow the natural rule? You see what I'm saying? See, they don't understand. Sin follow the flesh. You see? Righteous follow the spirit. So they never knew the difference. All they knew is I got to follow it the way my father and them followed it. Even if they followed it wrong, I'm going to get in line with them because I like what it feels like. I like what it looks like. I like what it make me be. Not knowing that they have ruined everything from Genesis 3 all the way into where you see today. All the way today. When you think of stiff-necked rebellion and disobedience, these are men. He's not speaking to the women. He's speaking to the men. Because he said he talks to them about their forefathers. Those that led you, caused you to error. They don't see none of that. None of that comes before them. All their desire is to bring woman down to the low of the low so that they may feel in their flesh that they're on high. And that's what they're doing. They want to bring the woman, the one that he said in the perfect will, them down to the low of their heel, where the serpents should be at. They want to bring them that low, and they have. But what they didn't understand, You have brought women that low for thousands of years. And when women try to get up after being so tired of being so low, we're looked at as trying to exert ourselves above a man or trying to step out of order and trying to. Then that's my thing to the Father. How and why did you let them get away with so much wicked and evil all the way up until today? I mean, why were they allowed? And I know he's going to tell me it's right. It's written. It's all said and done. It shows you the evil that they have had since he even had placed Adam in the garden. Because when he placed him in the garden alone, what did he say? Oh, this is not good. See, he knew already that wasn't good. So why would he say, this is not good for man to be alone? I would help make him a help meet. And then turn around and make him a slave to put her so far under his feet or his heel as unto the serpent. Word of the Father created, he's looking at this man and he's saying it is not good. And I'm like, wait a minute, Father, everything you created, you said it was good. Why isn't it good now that you see Adam in the garden? And then what happened once he said that? He said he's going to make him a help meet for him. Help meet for him so he can have someone to help meet the will of the Father. It's still for the purpose of the Father. Okay? Now watch this. And then it says, and Ahiah had created the animals, and he also took them to Adam. But still, something was missing. Woman. Why is it that I'm talking, and let me explain something to you all. Even though I'm talking, I already know the answer, to be honest. I know that Satan has took over, like he said, come to deceive the whole world, and he done that from Genesis 3 to the year 2022, in 2023. So he did do what Ahiah said he would do. He said, Satan has come to the earth to what? To deceive the whole earth. So I believe what he said, and I think he's done an excellent job in doing so. Okay, so that is true. But the part that's deep for me is, how did the one that has everything that he has end up being so far down on the ground below him? Okay, a lot of this molesting and raping and struggling, being poor and struggling and not having anything had to do with the men not doing what they should have been doing. Because once they got the woman to be so low under their feet as cattle, as animals, then they could go and do every and anything the way that they want to. They can drop what they say. A lot of the men said, and the women too. The papa was Rolling Stone. Their papa was Rolling Stone. He had a sat here, sat here, and sat here. Nobody sees nothing wrong with that. But the first thing the men would say when there's a woman here, he had a woman here. Wait a minute, didn't you say he can have as many women as he please? You see how screwed up that is? But you're not seeing this man having babies here, and babies here, and never went back to check on them, never went back to feed them, never went back to do anything. I'm looking at these men that's older than I am telling the story. I'm like, how sad is that? He said his father had his mother, and he learned as he got his birth certificate that his mother was just 21 years old when she had him and married her father. And her father was 45, but he was never at home. Never. He would wake him up in the morning and take him over grandma's house so he can get raped and beaten all the way up to where, what he said, 16? I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. He said become normal. Who was raping you? Your father, other wife, son. You see what I'm saying? This is what goes on in all this so-called polygamy. I can have as many as I want. It's sickening. It's all rest in all of them. Sickening rest in all of them. Even when you look at Jacob children, look how they did Joseph. Look how the things that they did. Jacob's sons. The one son was slept with one of Jacob's. Just all this, no order, no righteous order nowhere among those children. And we don't understand. You're thinking that Jacob's children was all that. No, only one thing was with the promise, you guys, was land. It was not eternal life. It was land. Just as a number is coming out of Israel and the tribe of Judah to enter in the promised land, I mean, not the promised, the New Jerusalem, guess what? It's others numbers are also coming in from other nations. To me, what I'm learning, and as I'm living and learning, that Judah has really a mental issue. They have a hardcore mental issue. Even after all that they have went through captivity, look how they come out regarding their women. No respect. No, it won't give them nothing. No, nothing. But still yet trying to put them under their nasty feet. And they feel content. They feel just. They feel clarified. They feel this is the way that it should go. And they don't see no unjust and no righteous in that. No fairness, no nothing. So they run to a book and they try to justify, clarify, and identify that we can keep her as low as we want under our feet. I think you bros need to check out Isaiah 3 and 25. You better check out what Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Isaiah. Ahijah is planning on destroying you by great numbers. And let me tell y'all something. A lot of people want to tell you about the dry bones. You know what? This is where I'm at. And all that he have taught me in the spirit realm. It's no way that the men today is going to walk straight into the promised land. When Ezekiel had that dream, I mean, he didn't have no dream. When Ezekiel had the vision, he was in the vision. Okay? When they are in a vision like unto that, it's like they on holy ground. And if you notice that in this vision, the father was speaking of dry bones. And he was saying to Ezekiel, prophesy to these dry bones. Can they live? And Ezekiel was kind of a little bit kind of confused because he said, thou knoweth, in the sense like the father already know if these dry bones can live. One thing about the dry bones, it speaks of the past. Okay. The dry bones scattered all over the place and they've been there for so long. It does not mean that it's the same one in Ezekiel that he's going to destroy. The men and your mighty men. No. He's speaking of David's army. He wants an army he's going to bring forth, put his spirit in them, breathe in them. And that's how David's going to be included because he's going to be over the same army he once was. Faithful army. You see what I'm saying, y'all? So he is picking the men from the dry bones. And he's showing this to Ezekiel in the vision. He's not showing Ezekiel this in the natural. If he was showing it to Ezekiel in the natural, then it would be talking about the men in this day and time and in the time past. No, no. He's not talking about the stiff-necked rebellion and disobedient men and women and the whoremongers. No, that's not what he's talking about. That multitude that he's taken over to the promised land is going to be an army that has lost their lives right there, and it was scattered, bones all scattered, and it's dry mean it been there thousands of years. That was David's army that he's going to bring back up. It's a lot of things happen. Like, remember, David had took the life of his main uh, uh, commander, and he because he counted the did like a censor of the men that was in the army, and David smocked him. What did he do to David? He gave him three things to choose from. What did David choose? To pestilence. And when the father put pestilence on his men, it killed 70,000 of David's men. What did they do? They didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing. But because of David's sin, his army paid the price. See, these are the ones that's going to be the dry bones. Do you think he's going to come back in this day and time and pick up the dry bones who've been stiff-necked, rebellion, disobedient, whoremongers, men that's full of lust, adultery, fornication, murdering, backbiting, boasting, idle? No, he's not coming for you. You're going to be either left here with Babylon or destroyed with Babylon. And I think that's a sad thing. They have not did they study nor they search. It's because their study and search is in their flesh. It's caught up with their feelings and their emotions, their personal opinion. They want to rest themselves in something that a higher has not placed them in, nor will he come to deliver them out of. Because no one is seeking repentance. No one is teaching repentance. No one is saying, we need to turn, we need to stop. Nobody is saying nothing but let's do more wicked and evil. Let's get our lust in our flesh on while we can. Let's get us some virgins. Let's build us a tower. Let's build us a city. And you thinking the Father gonna come get for you after you done build all you have on the earth? The last thing you're gonna be concerned about is being ready when a higher come. You ain't gonna even want to leave. Because your pleasure, your enjoyment, you done built up on the earth to where you ain't looking forward for leaving nothing but to continue to fight for what you got. And a lot of people, somebody said something that was very powerful today, and I said, that's exactly what I said. That man sure know the truth. I said, because that's exactly what I said. A lot of these people in this Hebrew Israelite movement, especially these pastors and these leaders, and call themselves rulers and kings, you can't be that in the land of your captive. Who told you was a king? Who told you was a ruler? Who told you the head of anything? It doesn't match the curse itself that you be all of that, even in your household. It doesn't match the curse. Why? Because it's saying that you're going to be so bent out of control and out of what is righteous. Your best bet is to be trying to seek ye the kingdom of Yah. Not seek ye the order of a man's way, but Yah himself. They don't want to do that. They want pleasure in the flesh. And they say, I cross that bridge when I get there. There won't be a bridge for them to cross. Anybody, let me make this clear, that walks around and think that it's okay to to graft in other nationalities into your nation is far beyond out of the order of the Father. I know you have taken on your own way, your flesh way, because you feel that, okay, if I put these Gentiles in here, truly the world won't be on me. They'll see there's a multi of us. But also understand the church itself gives you some insight of that the agents are going to be in there too. Because these people are not coming because they love you. They trust in you. They believe in you. They have been placed there to bring your butt down. And that's why I think it's kind of sad. The ones that they think they've been with them so long and they there for me, those will be the same ones that have known enough to get them when it's time to get them. So I sitting back and I think of everything these men are saying is happening and have happened to them, and how they one thing I do, I feel sad though, y'all. I feel sad how these men, they're older than I am, and they're talking about how their mama didn't protect them. Their mama didn't say anything. Their mama didn't tell their daddy to stop beating them. Their mama didn't tell their daddy to stop raping them. The mama didn't tell their grandfather, that mama would send them over there even after they tell them, mama, granddaddy raping me, or granddaddy beat me, or granddad. Mama never said a word. And that's what the men are afraid. They want the women to be as silent as the mothers of yesterday, so they can do every wicked and evil until their household and nobody says a word. That is really going on. Now, that is one of the number one things that's actually taking place among the Hebrews. They really believe if I can put my foot on her and keep her as low can be. And that's why the men knows exactly what to feed the men. They knows exactly. The reason why they do that is because they don't want to be the only one in this. Men would do things just so they won't be the only one. A lot of times they know it's wrong. They feel it's wrong. The spirit of conviction is there. And Satan and the demonic and wickedness is there too. And it overrides because they want the others to portray the same way they think, they feel, they see things, they understand things. And that's why many won't tell their own brothers, we can't do this way, y'all. We can't do this, because if you ever think, when he called them, he said him and her. He called them, and then he turned around and gave him the breath of life. He gave her the breath of life, and he gave him the image, his image, and he gave her his image. So, what is it that you feel that you today should have her under your feet as deep as and hard as you possibly can, so that she could never look up, and that you can control her in a slave mentality mindset, which is wicked and evil. She has no say so. She has no control over anything in her life. The Father is never given any man nor woman to control, because if he did, why would he give each one of you separate his breath and his image, which is a spirit? If he felt that, okay, man, your breath that I gave you of me and your image that I gave you of me is over the image that I gave her that is of me, the breath that I gave her that is of me. It doesn't sound right, y'all. It doesn't make any sense. And guess what? It never did. And that's what women been fighting for, is to get from under the foot of men. And men today will make you think women trying to steal this and take this and do this. There are many women who feel that they can do the job just as good. You see, I don't agree that a woman should be in every job or working with or doing everything a man should do. I'm gonna be honest with you. You might have 20% of the women in the world that might feel that way. But it's a sad thing that they use that as a scapegoat to make it look like we trying to get dominion over them. We've been under their feet since Genesis 3. Because in Genesis 3, they took rule and they brought their own definition to their flesh. Okay? And when they did that, they made their own definition of what Ahia means when he said rule over them. You see? And that's what has happened. And Ahijah wasn't coming to correct the error that man has found himself in sin, because he had given it to Satan to deceive those that were weak enough to be deceived. And they took it all the way up into year 2023. And they call it today as just, righteous, upright, because they did it back in the days. Please, y'all. All you have to do is go to Genesis 1 and 2. Even when he saw man and he placed him in that garden, what did he say? It is not good. See, a lot of people don't see stuff like that because they so busy seeing the part that causes them to have a swollen head and a swollen mind. You said a swollen head and a swollen mindset that says, I'm a ruler, I'm a king, I'm a leader. Where does that say in Deuteronomy 28? In your land of your captives, can you be these things? This is another reason why the Hebrew men feels that they're going to be enforce that ability to have women submit to them in ruler and king, because they cannot override the curse. And because they cannot override the curse, they decided, we're not going to rule over our children. We're not going to feed our children. We're not going to take care of our children. We're not going to do what we're supposed to do as men. Be there, bring them up, train them up, be with them every day, take care of them, and do what you're supposed to do. Not jump from one wife that got many children to another wife to have children and another wife to have children. That's sickening. That is Satanism being worked in the flesh of man, because it's been going on for so many years, to where when that curse took its course, guess what happened? Oh, I know a way we can get out of this, and we can still be kings and leaders in the land of our captivity. In the Babylon system, we can still be kings and leaders. And then the father said, also, you got also things that says follow the law of the land. They don't abide by that. Why? Because they want to step out of everything that is in that curse to make them separate from the curse itself, because they never wanted to own the curse. And that's what I noticed. And I think it's kind of sad that the Hebrew men never owned the curse. They never owned it. So I don't know what the father's really got planned outside of. He said he's going to destroy them, and he's going to destroy the mighty ones by war. So don't think that you have guns and weapons and you're going to out in the woods and you're going to be defeated. No, you ain't. You're dying. You better go to Jeremiah. You better go to Ezekiel. You better go to Isaiah. You're dying. And he already has given the righteous women the warning, the head up. Your sons, your brothers, your fathers, your grandfathers, your uncles, your friend, your husband, every one of them, I'm bringing down. They're going to die. And the mighty men shall die by the sword. He's not playing, Judith. He's not playing with you. He's not playing. And that, to me, I embraced and I hold dear, because after that stage, any man left, Ahijah gonna seal and brand him to be holy. Okay? Holy. Okay? And the daughters, he's not going to destroy you, daughters. He's going to purge you. And in the process of that purge, he's going to clean your filthiness, and he's going to also brand you as holy. And then how the mixture being, so it's going to be more women going to the promised land. He's going to bring the army of David, the dry bones, and restore them and bring that army over to the promised land. And that's why David is going to also come back. Okay. Not as David yesterday, but as the will of the Father, as he saved David. So I wanted to just say to you all, I feel real sad, and this feel really good to talk about it, because in me still desire the Father to give me a little more. I can't ask for no more than He's willing to give me, but I like a little more to understand. I know He says Satan has come down to deceive the whole world, and when He said the whole world, He meant the whole world. But it's the kind of, and then when He said that, that also makes sense why the narrow gate is narrow, and very few shall find it. It makes a lot of sense, you guys. And while the broad gate is broad, and many shall find their way there. And I think that that started way back in the beginning. Okay, I really do. I think the narrow gate and the broad gate was orchestrated before the foundation of the world, so that the narrow, those that find, are going to return back to the bosom of the Father in the New Jerusalem. And those that's going through the broad gate are not going to return at all. Okay. And that's now, just talking about that, that gives me a little comfort to know that. Keep in mind, Deborah, at all time, I know it has been bad since the beginning of time. I know that they have took rule, and they have ruled over the women in a way. And he said something about I need to get and see where he's going to. He already let the women know it's not going to be so much as them. You know, a lot of them are going to make it to the promise, um, not to the promised land, but to the New Jerusalem. So I know men wouldn't want to hear that, but he said you'd had your joy, your pleasure. You'd have been your king. You'd have been your leader. You've been your ruler. You'd have been had everything and everyone submissive under you. You'd have had your lust on and your lust off. You ain't took care of your children the proper way. Ahia says that the first talent of a man is his seeds. If he do wrong by that, any other talent he has is vain and vexed. Because the seeds that Ahia gives him is for him to instill Ahia in his children. Be there to raise them and take care of them. And Ahia is not going to settle for what the men use as a scapegoat. I want to let y'all know that now. He ain't going for it. He's not going for the fact that she put you out, or she wouldn't come and do what you submit to you. Ahia is not going to judge us based on submitting to the flesh of a man. See, if the man is not submitted to Ahia, and he has not given her the freedom to submit herself to Ahia, then how is it do he expect a woman to submit herself to the flesh at ways of a man? You cannot submit yourself to the flesh of a man. You have to submit yourself to the spirit of who that man represent, and who that man has submit himself to. So I think it's real sad because the men in the flesh are teaching the men in the flesh exactly what they taught them back then. But I wish it was a way, which I know it's too late and I know it's over, that all these crying men from their graves, even those that's crying from them graves, and that's why I say I feel really sad, because just hearing all these men, and I have not just today, but I have in time past, but the more I listen to them, I can just about feel the cries of many outside of just those men who their brothers and their fathers and their uncles and their grandpa and their great great grandpa and their brothers and everybody have raped and destroyed them from the inside out, and they have went to their graves because of a lot of this that had went on. And that's what actually took place in Genesis chapter 6 when he decided to end it. You all, these men try to make that picture pretty as they want to, but the truth be told, it was sex trafficking, okay, and sex, lust. You see what I'm saying? And messing with little girls. That's what that was all about. That's what it was all about. And I know they're not going to teach you, because they have mended in the silly women, and many others that the fallen angels. First, you have to look up in every book you have and see if you see where it says there's really fallen angels. And another thing you have to say, you can't keep saying that the sons of Yah are fallen angels for Satan, evil and wicked. No, no. Satan even got down here for a mission to deceive the whole world. So what are you talking about? See, they want to use the giants, and the giants ain't done nothing. They want to use the fallen angel. Wait a minute, that said the son of Yah, to crank up, to cover up. And then in Genesis chapter 6, verses 5, he said, Deborah, every imagination of their thoughts were wicked and evil continually. And they wants to, the men, they want to erase all of that was said that caused the Father to destroy the world. That's why when you go back into the what they call the New Testament, when it says it's going to be like the days of Noah, who erased the fact of really what took place the days of Noah? It wasn't so much as they were buying and selling. Come on now. They were feasting. No, they were marrying and giving in marriage. They was that come closer than anything, because in their mind they were doing things that was okay and permitted. Having daughters, selling them, traffic, sex trafficking, daughters being born to them. You think them daughters were being born to them and came to a righteous age? Come on, you guys, wake up. There was things going on, and only one can take you there is the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the true teacher. If you're looking for these men to break down Genesis 6, 1, 2, all the way down to 5 to verse 6, you can hang it up. They're going to take you all kind of corners, all kind of ways, every way possible to keep you from hearing spirit and truth of the matter of Genesis 6. Why Ahiah destroyed the world. So I, Sister Deborah, say unto you all, desire and seek after the things which are spirit and truth. Seek after righteousness and just. And when you're reading and you're studying, be able to seek Ahiah to give you the spirit of discerning. So you, and no, he will, if the Ruach is in you, it's a discerner in itself. And he said, try the spirit by the spirit, because he knows what is working in people. Satan is working in people by spirit. People are conducting themselves in their spirit. That image he gave them of himself, the image, he is a spirit, he gave them a spirit. They're working demonic, wicked, evil ways from the spirit realm, to where when these men are teaching these men, they're thinking they're teaching them from the natural, because you can see and believe. You can hear what they say and believe. But they don't understand there's still a demonic spirit that's spirits that's working within them. In Proverbs 16 and verse, I believe it's 2, and it says, in a man's eyes is clean in himself. He really think he is. His flesh is clean. He good. But the Father said, I measure the spirits with an S, because a lot of these men are up under the flesh of man. They are not up. They don't understand. They're so busy trying to track the ways of the flesh of man, because it gives them pleasure, to where they are don't understand these men has a lot of spirits attached to them. And these spirits, they come from their father, their brothers, all kind of family, male family members. And I know these are things men don't want to hear, but it's okay. You don't have to hear it. The judgment of the Most High will separate what he will separate. And even going to the promised land, or those who are going to the New Jerusalem, it's not going to be like the men are tainting the men to believe, because everything got off of course from Genesis 1 and 2. And everything got off of course. If a man decide to go strictly into humble in spirit and truth and seek the Father from Genesis 1 and 2, it will blow your mind of what is actually taking place is totally out of the righteous will of the Father. So I, Sister Deborah, say that I hope you got something out of it. And I'm glad I didn't go as far as an hour. That's really good for me. Um, and I hope you got something. I don't know what I'm going to title it, but I'm going to bring it a title that is suitable for the message itself. But you know what? Another thing I notice people, but that's their way of trying to get what they want. People want what they want. They want subscribers. They want likes. They want praise. But I see people putting different titles to their message, but their message is not covered by the title. So it told me this is a spirit. This is a wicked spiritual tactic. They say one thing, and they show you one thing, but they're not talking regarding what they're showing you. They just want people to come to the page just so they can get a like or a view. You see, so I, Sister Deborah, say I appreciate each and every last one of you all are tuning in. I'm going to upload this tonight, and I'm going to give it the title. Let's do it. So I, Sister Deborah, says shalom and shalom.